All right, so all praise to Yahweh in the name of his son, Yahweh Shai, in the name of the Holy Spirit. Double honors to my elders, apostles, and the bishops of Great Millstone, otherwise known as GMS, also known as Prophets of Doom. These are where I have learned this truth, and these are where I am still learning this truth. And also shalom to the remnant and the elect of Israel. Lord willing, I am of that number. All right, so going back in here and speaking about the beast that we find here in Revelation chapter 13, and well, in Revelation period. All right. Okay, so again, we'll start right here at Daniel 7:17. These great beasts, which are four kings, which shall arise out of the earth. Now, when you go back here to Revelation 13 at the top, remember that subheading was the beast from the sea, and then you have beast from the earth. So, showing you that the beasts, all right, are not actual beasts. Although, when John the Revelator seen these visions, he's seen actual beasts, all right. But we have the understanding of this today, all right, given through the spirit and power of Yahweh and Yahweh Shai through their men. Okay. So now let's go back here. Revelation 13:2. It reads, and the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, because again it started with the Greeks. Okay, his feet were as if the feet of a bear. All right, the feet of a thing are the end. And you learn that by being guided through the men of the Lord. All right, and this bear represents Russia, being that Russia is going to be or leading the charge against this beast system. All right, specifically America. All right, it says his mouth as the mouth of a lion, and the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. Because again, when it comes to America, all right, we got this country, this nation got its power from being from the Roman Empire forwarding its power to this place. Again, it's the reincarnated Roman Empire. Revelation 13:3, it says, and I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. So when it reads, and I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, this speaks of when the Roman Empire, all right, went down. All right, but it did not go down completely, which is why it says what it says next. And his deadly wound was healed. This started at the beginning of the Renaissance period. All right, and Esau actually in Malachi 1:4. This is what this speaks of. It says, whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people of whom the Lord Yahweh hath indignation forever. Now, the world is at least beginning to speak a little bit on who these devils really are, right? Especially if you are outside of if you listen to sources from outside of this place of America, all right, they are starting to put the spotlight on Amalek. And then within this nation, if you listen to the true men of the Lord, all right, they have been telling you all of this. Who is Esau, Edom? All right, the Lord is making them bare. Okay, showing them who, or showing the world, proving to the world who they are. All right, through history, through the scriptures. All right, the understanding of the scriptures. It's plain to see for those whom are allowed to see this, for those whom are given the power to see this. But slowly and surely, the world is realizing this. All right, okay. But when the Lord comes upon His return, everyone will know the entire truth of it. They will realize that through the spirit and power of Yahweh and Yahweh Shai, we have been telling the truth. Okay. So that Renaissance period started the healing of this beast system. Now, when you go to Revelation 20, and we may have done this in that previous video, but we'll go back here anyway. Revelation 20, verse 1 through 3. And I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit. All right, we did talk about this, but it's all right. And a great chain in his hand. And he laid hold of the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan. Again, a Satan-like man, the one who comes to do the bidding of the spiritual demon Satan. Okay, and bound him 1,000 years, which is from that Renaissance going back. Okay, 1,000 years. That's what this is talking about. All right, they were bound for that period. All right, meaning that they were put in line. Okay, they were made bare back then. All right, and put in line, but they came up out of that. Okay, and started to rule again, started to rule again, as we'll read down below. Revelation 20 and 3. It says, and cast him into the bottomless pit. All right, that pit goes back to lands. All right, lands can be known as pits. Okay, the bottomless pit, because that land over there, Europe, really doesn't yield, okay, minerals, okay, too much. All right, I asked Google earlier, where does Europe's soil rank in nutrients without imports? I'm gonna just read this little short excerpt. It says, "Is Europe fertile soil?" It says, "Soil is a vital component of natural capitals, hosting rich biodiversity and providing critical ecosystem services such as food production, water purification, and carbon storage. However, the majority of EU soils are considered unhealthy, okay, with potentially 2.8 million sites being contaminated." And that was back in 2024. Okay, but that's why it is known as the bottomless pit. Let's go back here and let me look, or let's go back here to Revelation 23. It says, and cast him into the bottomless pit and shut him up. Okay, put him in line, made him bare. All right, made him put him at a low point. All right, as far as they're concerned, their rulership went down. All right, and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more, till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled, and after that he must be loosed a little season. And we're still in that little season from the Renaissance period, okay, up until now. We are still in this little season. All right, so you jump down here to verse 7 now, which is how this chapter is supposed to be read. All right, not straight through. You know, verses 4 through 6 speak of another 1,000-year period. All right, first dominion. Okay, so Revelation 27, it says, and when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison. Okay, so this is what happened after the Renaissance period on. These people came out, they got back into power, they changed the images. Okay, they destroyed records. All right, which is why when you hear about the Dark Ages, you really don't hear about what was really going on in Europe. That's why people are surprised when they find out that Israelites did rule. They don't even believe it. All right, they don't believe that Israelites have the potential to run anything because of the destroyed state that we're in now. Okay, but if the truth was known about this, the so-called Dark Ages, or the time of, the real the first Europeans ruling over there, they would know that they looked, or they were melanated. All right, they don't look like what you think of European as they didn't look like that. Okay, all right, so they destroy records, okay, in order to deem people not people, which is, again, why do they say that civilization started with the Greeks, when in that statue, okay, we seen more empires. All right, we seen, what is that, two, three, four empires right there. Okay, and then there's empires that aren't spoken of in the scriptures. Again, this is following the Israelites, their captivities, and everything that had to do with them. All right, us. Okay, so now let's go back here. Where were we? All right, let's see. I think we already did that. All right, let's read Daniel 7 and 18. It says, "But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever." Because after this, all right, there isn't going to be any other rulerships to come up. All right, after this, the Lord will be ruling. All right, it will be his kingdom. All right, and we will be joint heirs with him. Okay, we will be perfected. No one is going to take the kingdom of the Lord down, man. No one is going to take the kingdom of heaven down. The tabernacle of David. No one is going to take that down. All right, we're going to be perfect, immortal, rule forever. All right, in righteousness. And all these nations will be under the doctrine. Okay, under the rules, under the law, statutes, and commandments of the Lord. All right, we're going to have to teach them and put our foot in their ass if they don't act right, man. Okay, so now let's see. Let's see here. All right, let's go back here to Revelation 13. 13 and 4, and they worshiped the dragon and gave power unto the beast, and they worshiped the beast, saying, "Who is like unto the beast, and who is able to make war with him?" All right, just like America, or America, just like Rome. All right, military might, a different way of maneuvering. This was and is now, okay, the state of this beast system. Okay, with lies and deception they rule. All right, and with the power of a sword, man. Okay, so now let's jump down here to verse 11. All right, it says, "And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and spake as a dragon." Again, in the Roman captivity, all right, these two horns were known as the plebeians and patricians. They have been, I mean, that has been forwarded to today, being the Democrats and Republicans. All right, and they speak as a dragon. Once they get into power, they start tightening up on the people. All right, these laws, okay, just trying to gain more and more power every step they take, no matter which horn you go to. All right, no matter if it's the Republicans or the Democrats, they each take a step. All right, left, right, okay, towards their power. They don't care about the people, man, especially the Israelites. All right, remember, their kingdom is about to go down. This is it. All right. Revelation 13 and 12, it says, "And he exerciseth all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed." Now, I just read these notes earlier, which this is light. I was looking over these notes that I took, and there's more. All right, there's more pointing to what we're speaking about here. This is just a light little breeze through, but I do want to. There was something worded better than I've been wording it, and I want to bring this up here. Hold on a second. Uh, Hold on, let me find this. Let me find this. All right, let me see. Yeah, it says the when it mentions here uh, causes the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. All right, speaking of Rome not going down all the way. All right, this is again the second leg of Rome. But when it mentions things like a cause to worship and wandered after the beast, all right, this is what the notes say right here. Let me get this. It says, we are now in that little season, okay? From Revelation 20 and 3. This is why Revelation 13 and 3, it says that the whole world wandered after the beast because they had the power to captivate the people's minds. All right? I'm going to have to pause this real quick. Hold on a second. All right. So as we just heard there, this is why it says in Revelation 13 and 3, this is why in Revelation 13 and 3, it says the whole world wandered after the beast because they had the power to captivate the people's minds. And we were all, okay, all of us, all right, especially me included, okay, we were all under their spell until this truth gave us the ability to break loose from the spell. So what I want to do here, it just came to mind to do, I do want to look up. I'm starting to open up a lot of windows here. I hope, I pray I don't get confused, or not confused, but mixed up with the windows. All right, I do want to look up here, define captivate. All right. Captivate. Captivate. It says verb, attract and hold the interest and attention of, right? To charm. Let's see what charm means. Charm. All right, the power or quality of giving delight or arousing admiration. Okay, and this is what these people do. Okay, it says an attractive or alluring characteristic. Okay, it says an object, act, or saying believed to have magic power. And this is what these people do. All right, they have the power of divination, of being crafty, subtle. Okay, if you don't fall for it at the end of these little seasons, all right, there's going to be a separation between whom are the Lord, whom are the lords, and whom are the worlds, and then there's going to be a separation also. All right, when it comes to receiving this mark, all right, the beast's mark, all right, they are also making a separation. Who are ours? Okay, who is glad to be our slave and who is against us? All right, so they're also going to make a separation. All right, through the spirit and power of Yahweh and Yahushua, of course. All right, so let's see. It says delight greatly, gain or influence by charm. Okay, control or achieve by or as if by magic. Man. Okay. Now, captivate the minds of the people. This is what they were able to go out and do. All right. Starting at the Renaissance period. All right. So everybody wandered after the beast because their mind is captured. Now, what's so damning about that? All right, because here in I think it's going to be Matthew. But let me look it up and see. Let's see. Yeah, Matthew 22. All right. All right, Matthew 22 and 35. It says, then one of them, well, I'll start at 34. It says, but when the Pharisees had heard he had put the Sadducees of silence, they were gathered together. Then one of them, which was a lawyer, asked him a question, tempting him and saying, Master, which is the great commandment in the law? All right, what's the greatest commandment? All right, what's, you know, What's the greatest one? Yahushua, this is verse 22 and 37, or Matthew 22 and 37. Now it says, Yahushua said unto him, Thou shalt love the Lord thy power with all thy heart and with all thy soul and with all thy mind. So if you have your mind captivated by this world, by the beast, by the system, all right, not only are you going to forward it by acting as such, all right, which the Lord told us not to learn the ways of the heathen. All right, but how are you going to know the ways of the heathen if you're not, one, reading, studying, not taking heed to the men of the Lord, and then two, you have been captivated, right? Your mind has been captivated, all right? Through that's through the spirit and power of Yahweh and Yahushai also, all right? Unless the Lord allows you to break from that, you're not going to, all right? Most of the world is in line with that, all right? Even if they are against, or even if they show themselves to not take the mark, all right, they still denied the truth, okay, and they're going to be destroyed either way, all right, because there's no bushcraft book that tells you how to survive thermonuclear fire, okay. So now let's go back here. Revelation 13. All right, I'll start at 11 again. It says, And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, all right, America, and he had two horns like a lamb, Democrats and Republicans, and spake as a dragon. These draconian laws that are being put on the people. As a matter of fact, let's ask, what are draconian measures? We'll do measures. We'll see what's up. It says adjectively, usually an adjective noun. It says draconian laws or measures are extremely harsh and severe. But when they do it gradually, right, it's easy to overcome the people's minds and to thinking that they're gonna they have something intended for the people that's good. All right, so they take these things step by step. All right, the left and the right. Now let's see what it says about draconian laws. What are these? Let's see. It doesn't give anything. Well, we can read this though. This is a drop-down question. It says, what is an example of a draconian law? Examples of draconian laws. Those who stole vegetables or fruit were punished just like those who committed murder, i.e. death. Okay. Let me see. All right. So this is what's happening to the people. Okay. Again, 11, and I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, the reincarnated Roman Empire, and he had two horns, just like a lamb. All right, we didn't even mention that part, but like a lamb. What happens when election time comes around? All right, these people speak really peacefully, peaceably. All right, but once they get in office or once they get their seat of power or perceived power, they start talking against the people. And then there's all kinds of uproars of the people. Now, what does the scriptures tell you about this? Let's find this. Hold on a second. Hold on. I spelled. All right, Proverbs 29 and 2. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. And this is how it's going to be in the kingdom. All right. The world, a part of. Okay, so I don't have it out here with me, but in the Zondervan's Compact Bible Dictionary tells you that Esau is the only neighbor of the Israelites who did not receive any promise of mercy from the Lord. All right, so for these other nations, all right, outside of Israel, okay, part of that mercy is living in a world without the wicked. Okay, again, when the righteous, Proverbs 29:2, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. Now, this is what's going on. All right, this is exactly what's going on. The people are mourning everywhere. Everywhere. All right, they try to tell you and over that you are happy, just like Klaus Schwab tells you that you will own nothing and you will be happy. What kind of shit is that? But it's gonna fall, or a lot of people are gonna fall like this, or fall for that. All right, just like a Jedi mind trick. Let me see what that is really quick. And I don't mean to bring up movies into this. All right, fables and um, made up shit into this, but this is likened to what's happened. All right, let me see. What did I call it? Who does who do Jedi mind tricks work on? Okay, it says the weak-minded. The mind trick was said to work only on the weak-minded. Okay, all right, the weak-minded. So when he told you you're going to own nothing and you're going to, what was that? Own nothing and love it. You will own nothing and be happy or something like that. Quote. All right, let's see. It says you will own nothing and be happy. You'll own nothing and you'll be happy is a phrase published by the World Economic Forum. Okay? So they did a little Jedi mind trick. Some people was like, yes, I'm going to own nothing and be happy. All right, that worked on the weak minded. They did a little Jedi mind trick in real life, man. Again, who do Jedi mind tricks work on? The weak minded. The mind trick was said to work on the weak minded. Okay? So there are some things that they put in these fictional movies that actually work on the people, man, especially the weak minded. All right, so I just wanted to refer to that really quick. Now let's go back. Let's go back here to Revelation 13. Again, let me see. Hold on, what is this? All right, Revelation 13, and I'll start at 11 again. All right, and I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth. This is America, and he had two horns. Republicans and Democrats, like a lamb, they speak softly when they want some shit, or when they're trying to be deceptive or disarm you. Okay? And he spake as a dragon. All right? Once they get in power, people start seeing these things, and it causes uproars, not only with the people that actually voted against them, but the ones that voted them in, because they go back to pushing what they want to push. All right? All the while making it seem like we have a freedom of vote or whatever this thing is. Okay. All right. They tried to show a separation between them and the person that they were against when it came to running for whatever power, but they all work right towards the same goal, because again, this is a part of the Edomite rulership, their system. This is what is being pushed everywhere, man. Everywhere. Revelation 13:12, and he exerciseth all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth to and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast whose deadly wound was healed. All right. Everyone over here, regardless if they think about it or not. Oh man, there was something else I wanted to look at. Regardless if they know it or not, they have had their minds captivated. Okay. I did want to ask. Okay. I want to ask Google something, and then we're gonna read this. Let me see. Can't find this. Let me see. Mm. Hmm. Let's see. Hold on a second. Mm. All right, this thing is being funny. Hold on a second, man. Can't believe it's not. Let me see. All right, so I don't know why this didn't come up on Google. Anyway, I asked, what is the idea of Rome? It says the idea of Rome encompasses its historical significance as a powerful ancient civilization that influenced law, government, architecture, and culture in the modern world. All right, showing you that Rome is here today. Okay, this is the reincarnated Rome. Okay, and Rome is a part of the system of this beast. All right, the beast system, excuse me. It symbolizes the legacy of the Roman Empire, which shaped much of Western civilization through its innovations and governance. I wonder what. Yeah. Let's see. try this one more time and then I'll ask Google. All right, so I asked, what is meant by the quote, Rome is an ideal? It says a quote, Rome is an ideal suggests that Rome represents more than just a physical place. It embodies concepts of liberty, law, and civilization that have influenced societies throughout history. It highlights the city's significance as a symbol of culture and political ideas rather than merely a geographical location, which is a spiritual thing. Most of the world doesn't realize that Israel, okay, is not speaking of necessarily a geographical location every time you read about it in the scriptures. All right, Israel is a people before it is a place. Now let's go back here and ask Google that question. What is meant by the quote, Rome is an ideal? Hold on a second. I typed in Google, what is meant by the quote, Rome is an ideal? And what came up is, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. Let's click on that and look at this. It says, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. Often shortened to when in Rome. All right, is a proverb attributed to Saint Ambrose. The proverb means that it is best to follow the traditions or customs of a place being visited. Okay. A later version reads, when in Rome, do as the Pope does. All right. This is what it means by your mind has been captivated. All right. People wandering after the beast. All right. You are actually speaking to America, you are actually in Rome. All right. You may not be in the geographical place that is known as Rome, but you are in a place that embodies the spirit of Rome. Okay. Let me ask. Let me ask this. And plus, when people come over here from other places, a lot of people want to get over here because they want to come out from the restraints uh, that other places um, have that keep their people in line. And I don't mean necessarily in a draconian way, all right, but that give you morals. Um, uh, what is that? No rules, morals, and you know, just not telling you can do everything that you want to do, even if it goes against uh, the Lord. All right. So I'm just asking Google what is meant by principles. All right, no principles, no rules, no morals. All right, they want to get over here because they want to let loose of all that. Because this place, like Rome, allows you to be free or give you liberty. All right, so I'm just asking Google just to see what comes up. What is meant by America is an ideal. All right, let's see. All right, didn't come up. Let me go back to this DuckDuckGo, which is where I got my answer for the Rome as an ideal question. So let's see. What? All right, let's see. See if anything comes up. It says the quote, "America is an ideal," suggests that the identity of the United States is based on principles such as freedom, equality, and self-governance rather than its geography or population. This reflects the belief that the nation was founded on philosophical ideas that promote individual rights and democratic values. Okay. It's also called the American Dream. All right, the American Dream. The American Dream is a phrase referring to a purported national ethos of the United States that every person has the freedom and opportunity to succeed and attain a better life. The phrase was popularized by James Truslow Adams during the Great Depression in 1931 and has had different meanings over time. Originally, the emphasis was on democracy, liberty, and equality, but more recently has been on achieving material wealth and upward social mobility. All right, this material wealth and upward social mobility, the status of this place is going to get a lot of people messed up, man. They focused on that instead of what's really going on in the world. All right, so let's go back here. And more so, we're getting into the image of the beast, which pertains to its philosophies, its beliefs, its ways of life, its manners of life. All right, but we just wanted to show here what the beast was. It is a rulership system. All right. It started with the Greeks, took hold with the Romans, and we are now in the second leg of that Roman Empire. All right, they're trying to forward their house. Okay, so that is what the beast is. Anyway, I hope this came through as sincere and edifying. Just to make sure. All right. Yeah, we'll get into the image of the beast, Lord willing, in another video, and then we'll get into the mark also. So yeah, I hope this came through as sincere and edifying. So with that, all praise to Yahweh. In the name of his son, Yahweh Shai, in the name of the Holy Spirit. Double honors to my elders, apostles, and the bishops of Great Millstone. This is where I have learned this truth and where I am still learning this truth. And also shalom to the remnant and the elect of the Israel. Lord willing, I'm of that number, and Lord willing, we'll see you in the next video. Shalom.